Because reading is what?
Fundamental.
Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Do You Read BTS? I'm Lisa.
And I'm Dila Zay. Welcome back. Happy New Year. All
Happy
that good
New
stuff. Yeah. So
It's been a while. It's been a while.
yeah, it's been a while. This is our first episode of the new year, and I'm still sick, so I'm trying to. Yeah. Okay. This week we read His Tutor Girl by ravsisrekt. It's ravsisrekt on Wattpad.
Mm-hmm.
It is a Jimin story, and it is good.
Girl, I feel like, I was laying in the bed last night. I was like, I feel like we've been reading a lot of Jimin stories.
Do you?
Like, the OT7 story was pretty much a Jimin story.
Oh, true.
The frat boy
True.
story was pretty much a Jimin story.
True.
Then we read this story, which was a Jimin story. So we've been reading
Yeah.
a lot of Jimin. No wonder I've been feeling some type of way with Jimin. I was thinking about that. I was watching some stuff on TV, on YouTube, and I was like, darn, Jimin struck good to me. Like, I don't know what's going on. But then I started thinking, like, darn, we've been reading a lot of Jimin stuff.
We have, low key. I didn't even think about that. Wow. Okay. Well, it's what's been recommended. So
Yeah. And we will continue to read them if you guys recommend them to us.
Exactly. So we definitely wanted to read it, review it, and get this out to you all. I wanted to do something a little different than what we typically do. The beginning of this story started out so much in how a lot of the stories we've read have in the past that I just kind of want to read it.
Uh-huh.
So without further ado, so the first part of the chat is kind of like a prologue, and it's titled Dear Past Me, and it starts out like this. But looky here, past me. Yeah, I'm talking to you, you Wattpad reader. You're me in this story, and before you start, I, your future self, am about to warn you of what story really entails for our destiny. This isn't a love story. Well, I mean it is, but not a happy one. Usually stories about friends who grow close and fall in love start off great. These stories have tons of angst and then conclude buzzing, heart-fluttering ending. Oh, you know what I mean. The whole character one falls for the character two, but character two doesn't love them back until one beautiful, sunny, heartwarming day where character two realizes they fucked up and love the shit out of character one. Sure, that's relatable for everyone. If you didn't notice, that was sarcasm. In reality, this is where all that shit falls south, like super south, down to the middle between my asshole and Heavenly Gate kind of south. In most of these books, movies, TV series, even fucking car commercials, character two always ends up loving character one back. The two always get their happily media we see today. Nah, bitch, this isn't reality. This isn't real. Shit never goes down like that way unless you're some man or woman that has life always on his or her side. That's not the case with you, my past self. We're a mess. You're fine now, but you will be a mess soon. So it pretty much starts out like that. There's pretty much some more to the prologue, but I just had to read that because it's not typically what we see in stories.
Right.
And I think that's one of the things that really attracted me to the story, because off rip, that intro had me like, all right, this is about to be some mess.
Yeah, it's very true. Because when I read that, I was like, oh, okay, it's a little different from what we read. But as the story went on, I'm going to tell you, I was not feeling it. I needed that happy ending. I needed it. Maybe I watched too much K-drama or whatever, but I needed that happy ending.
Girl, the story, even though it sets you up for exactly what to expect, you still kind of don't expect where it ends.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
So I'm going to start it off by saying at the beginning of the story, it was the girl, which she didn't have a name. So, guys, we're going to call her the girl.
The girl.
So the girl is a tutor. She makes money on the side. And then Jimin is a college student. They go to school together. And I'm going to tell you, I was feeling like he didn't have enough time for BTS because he spent a lot of time in this school.
He sure did.
I was like, in my head, I was like, you better do the work with BTS.
I was so confused. I'm like, when does he have time? He did a whole bunch of stuff. I'm like, dance team. How?
Exactly. But in the story, he was neglecting the BTS too. And as a real army, I'm like, oh no, you do not, that is not a second job. BTS come first. What's wrong with you?
Right. How dare you have a life? You can't do this. Education. What?
Education, books, studying, tutor work.
Right.
But it was good. Anyway, so he had this tutor, the girl. The girl was tutoring him mostly in math, I think.
Yeah, so she was supposed to be tutoring him in multiple subjects, but I think they were starting out with math.
That was his weakness.
He had another tutor. Or I guess he had multiple.
He had a couple
in the
tutors
past
that did not work because they all
won. Yep. And he wanted a tutor that would actually like help him with what he needed help with and allow him to do what he needed to do instead of just kind of like doing his work for him. And the girl, she wanted to be a tutor to somebody who wasn't going to make her do the work and also was willing to learn.
But the thing about this is that this girl did like him just as much as every other girl, but she also was that I don't give up attitude. So I think he appreciated that because she just wasn't like smutting over him. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So go ahead, deal with that.
All right. So the girl lives with. The only reason I'm bringing up these people is because they pop up in the story and they're kind of important. So she has these friends, Gabby and Ayana and Vinye, which they're all her friends. She's got like a past friend. His name's Yuri, and the old girl that used to tutor Jim, and her name's G. And then we're gonna kind of go from there. So not Yuri. I'm sorry. Vinye is the best friend of the girl. They've known each other since they were younger, all that good stuff. So the girl finally goes to meet Jimin for their tutoring session. And their first meet is him running into G, and I think G slams a lock on his finger, and I guess he's like walking backwards and he like leans up against something, but the girl's like ducked down tying her shoe and his butt hits her face. And that's her first introduction to Jimin. And she doesn't, I guess at the time they don't realize, but that's his tutor, and she doesn't realize that that's who she's going to be tutoring. That was their first introduction to each other.
So they do the tutoring session and they kind of flirt, but not really a little bit. And then, they actually do a tutoring session. And I guess, don't a couple weeks go by and they keep going back and forth with the tutoring session. She started helping him with like a test that's coming up really big and like a paper that has to be written a little bit. But Jim is still in love with his ex-girlfriend. And he still thinks about her as well. And she knows that because they had a conversation about it. And he told, she's asking him, because he wanders off while they're, in their tutoring session. And she's asking him, like, what do you talk, like, why are you blank? Like, what's going on? And he starts to tell her about Nari. Is that how you say her name? Nari, and how much he loves her and why they broke up, which didn't make sense.
Right. Because they end up getting kind of close, like really fast, and he feels like he's able to tell her stuff. So he pretty much tells her that the reason that they broke up was because he couldn't satisfy her. That's what Nari told Jimin. And the girl's like, how is that even possible? You told me that both of y'all was virgins. Like, how did she know what was satisfying her or not? Like, y'all both lost it together. And he was like, I don't know. And homegirl was like, nah, bro, that don't make no sense.
But he getting irritated because he knows how sweet Nari is, and she don't really know Nari, but she keeps saying it still don't make sense. It still don't make sense, And so after a while, they're pretty much in their tutoring session. Jimmy goes home. He's talking to the fellas, At that time, he's living with BTS. Of course, he's still an idol in here. I don't even know where they're kind of even at in their career in this book, but
I don't know. Yeah.
I was trying to wonder. I was like, where are they at in this? Because they kind of still famous, but then
right, they were very famous.
Right, but in the book, it just seemed like they didn't know how famous they were at the school.
Yeah, because so it was weird because all the people at the school were some type of famous, like whether they were in music or dance. Because Vignette was like a traveling like choreographer or something like that. He also went to school, and there was different people from different groups that were going to the same school.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because Jackson was one of the people that went to the school, and like the dance group that Vinya was part of was kind of based off of the Kinjas. I don't know if you've heard of that dance group before, but it was like based off of that dance group. So these people, everybody that went to the school were like famous in some way, or like they were regular because the girl was regular and she was a tutor. I don't know, but yeah, a lot of the people were like famous.
Yeah. I don't know.
Anyway,
maybe you had to have money to go to school. I don't know.
Maybe.
Anyway, I didn't even know she had a mom and dad to the end of the story. So hey. Anyway. So he goes home and he's talking to Namjoon and all this stuff, and Namjoon is basically tell him, you need to get over Nari, and why don't you sleep with this girl since she's your tutor? Maybe she'll help you get over him. And he's like, no, I'm not doing that. And I guess Namjoon knows the reason why Nari and Jimin broke up, because the girl basically told him that the sex was no good.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's why they broke up, which, like we said, it didn't make sense to old girl.
Mm-hmm.
And so Namjoon tells him, oh, you need to go sleep with your tutor, and maybe your tutor can tutor you how to have sex.
Right.
This Namjoon, okay.
I know. He was kind of like pervy and like kind of, I don't know, it was weird. It was another side to him which they don't normally like put in the stories, where he's always like so serious. He was like real goofy and kind of like pervy.
Right.
But I liked it.
Right, me too. And so, Jimin kind of thinks about it, but Jimin is like a gentleman in the story. And so he's like, no, I'm not going to do that, blah, 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 blah. But anyway, he keep on going to these tutoring sessions, and he eventually tells her that's what he want to do.
Right, which like I know they got kind of close, and they used to joke and laugh with one another about like different things. But it was just funny how it kind of came out. Like,
right,
it just seems very random, but whatever.
But she was down. Like, she didn't.
Yeah,
she wasn't like, no, she was ready. Like, she was down, because at that time she was really starting to like him more than she should have, even then at that point.
And she kept trying to tell herself that she don't need to fall for him, because she knows that he's in love with his ex, and it would be just her heart's gonna be broken, but she couldn't help herself. All bad. But so while one of their tutoring sessions, after they were like talking about like Nari and whatnot, he asked her if I don't know if he asked her, if he just kind of told her like he was trying to kiss her, and then that's when they first kissed. And I guess like the initial first kiss was kind of like gentle, and she was like, all right, this is great or whatever, but you need to show me like how you really kiss, like kiss me for real. And then he did, and she was taken aback, because she was just like, holy crap, where did this come from? And so he's trying to take like cues from her, and she's kind of like, oh wait, I think I forgot a part. Remember, were they studying at her house? Or yeah, they were studying at her house, and they start making out on her bed, and it starts getting a little hot and heavy, and then like all her friends come busting in the door. Yes. The roommates walk in, and Vignette comes back into town because he was out of town doing something with the group.
That was Jimin's first time meeting Vignette.
Yeah, and so he's on the floor, and pretty much her underwear ended up getting flung on Jimin's face.
Uh-huh.
That's the first time he's meeting all of them. So he meets Gabby, Ayana, and Beignet. He got draws on his face.
Right. At least they was clean, though. So basically, he meets all the friends then in that weird encounter. He got draws in his face and all that. And then he meets them, but he kind of don't know who they are still.
Mm-hmm.
And as time go by, what happens after that? Kind of time just goes by. He leaves after that, right?
Yeah, they go to the elevator. They have that whole encounter. They go back to the tutoring session. It was fine. Like everything was cool. He decides, I think that he's gonna like join the dance group or try out or something.
Yeah, but the next time that they are, I'm just kind of gonna skip ahead a little bit. Next time they go to they tutor again, but this time it's at Jimin's house. Mm-hmm. But when they're at Jimin's house, nobody's there but her and Jimin or whatever. And they decide then that she's gonna show him some stuff, but he wanted to eat her out.
Right.
That's the first thing.
The first, she said, what is something that you feel like you're not good at? He said, Lord. He said, I'm not good at giving head. Okay. Yeah. Have at it, good sir.
I know that's right. I would have been like, that's the first thing you want to do?
The first thing off the bat. The first thing. I was like, whoa, okay. This is where we're starting. Okay, go ahead. Sorry.
And he was good at it too. He was good at it. She kind of had to show him where to be, but once she showed him where to be, that he knew where to put the fingers at the same time. Mm-hmm. He was good at it. Okay, and it was getting good. And then the roommates walked in. All the BTS walked in, and then she hid under the bed. And then once she hid under the bed, he was like going to, talk to the rest of the fellas because they kind of knew she was there because they seen like her book bag and stuff like that there. But he tried to make it seem like she wasn't there. She hid under the bed with no drawers on.
No drawers on.
Yeah. I'm like, where is her drawers though?
Right.
Like, where are they at? Anyway. So she hiding under the bed and she was like, Jimmy, you better come back and get me. Do not leave me under here. Do not forget me. He was like, I'm not going to forget you. I'm going to come back and get you. I promise. Mm-hmm. And then so he goes out and guess who's out there? His ex-girlfriend, Nari. Now, when it comes to Nari, he forgets about everything and everybody.
Yep. And he left her there.
He left her there the whole night.
And it wasn't until, what was it, Tay and JK?
All of them found her.
Oh, yeah, under the bed.
Yeah.
And she had no drawers on still.
Yeah, but here's my thing. How did they find her?
I don't know.
I'm like, she had to be snoring real loud.
She had to be doing something because they all was under the bed peeking.
Yeah. Like, how did they know she was under there?
Exactly. Oh, my gosh.
And it didn't say that, like, he told them to go get her or nothing like that.
She would have been under there for days.
Yeah. She literally was under there knocked out sleep.
Oh my god!
And they woke her up, and she punched Tay in the face because it scared her. Mm-hmm. that was a funny scene.
That was.
I can see
that happening, right?
Yeah. So she punched Tay in the face. She get off and under there, and I don't even know what excuses she used. She didn't really have an excuse.
She didn't have one. She just kind of like hopped up and left.
Yeah, Jen ended up taking her home with no drawers on.
With no drawers on, Lord.
But she had on her uniform. At first, when I read that, I was thinking she didn't have on like no bottoms at all. But then I got to thinking she had a school uniform on.
Right, but if in my head it was a skirt, right?
Yeah, it was a skirt.
So,
but all she kept thinking was, "I don't have no drawers on. I don't have no drawers on."
Right. Oh my goodness. I would have died because I was just thinking about all the guys looking under the bed and seeing her under there on all sides of the bed and then her skirt. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, oh, this is bad. This is really bad.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
man.
Jen ended up taking her home. She was pissed off at Jimmy, which I would have been pissed off at him too.
Heck yeah.
And then the reason he was with Nari was like something stupid.
Yeah, I think she wanted to talk or something, and I don't know. I don't remember what it was.
It
Oh
was
no, the manager. I think she said the manager sent her over there to do something.
somebody in Big Head.
Yeah, that's a shame.
So yeah, it was like something stupid over like management wanted her to talk to him about slacking up on something, like some work or something with BT. I don't know. It was stupid.
Yeah, it was something. It was something real random. So anyway, so he ends up needing to apologize for everything because he left her in the room, and they still had to tutor and stuff like that. So he wait, am I getting this?
No. You're right. They ended up. He was like messaging her, and she was ignoring him again. But then they ended up going back to a tutoring session, and when he tried to talk to her, she tried to ignore it. It's like, let's get to this book work. Let's just talk about,
Yeah.
school and work or whatever. And he kept talking about it. He kept talking about it. She was like, and then she kind of gave in, and was talking to him about it, whatever.
Right, because remember where she was like pissed off about it, and his like idea to make up for it was to hide under her bed.
Yeah, that happened after they had that conversation.
Okay.
Yeah, they had that. They had another tutoring session. They talked about it. She forgave him, uh, and they kept tutoring or whatever after that. And then they got together, and then she wasn't even with him. She was doing something else with, was it Yuri or Vignette?
Vignette, I think.
They were doing something. I don't even remember what they were doing.
I think she was supposed to be helping him out with. Wait, no, I
Oh,
might be jumping
no. They
ahead.
went to his nana. They went to her nana's.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. So the reason that the girl is tutoring is because her grandma is sick, and so she sends money to help her parents out with her grandma being sick, like the expenses and stuff like that. And Yuri, I'm not Yuri. Well, yeah, Yuri too, but Vignette, the girl, and Yuri always go to help the grandma because, again, Vignette and the girl grew up together.
Yeah.
And it sounds like he's the only one with the car.
Yeah, I guess so.
Because I'm like, she doesn't go any other time. Anyway. Okay, so
well, obviously she does not have a car because she's always going with either Yuri, Vignette, or trying to go with Jimmy.
Right.
Because we'll talk about why she was trying to get that ride from Jimmy too. So later on.
Right.
Well, anyway, so she ends up going to her nana house with Vignette, and they like do some stuff that day. And then she goes home, and what happened? Like Jimin's under her bed. Oh, she had the ice cream scoop. She loved the ice cream scoop.
Yeah, so
I was trying to think, what kind of ice cream scoop is she fighting with? It must be one of the
old school ones.
The old school ones, not with the like piece that flap it out, like that flap on the inside. It must be the old school ones, the metal ones.
Yeah, that's what I kept thinking about.
Yeah. So anyway, she carry an ice cream scoop with her because like that's her weapon of choice. And so anyway, she hears something under her bed, and she about to fight with this ice cream scoop, and come to figure out it's Jimmy under the bed.
Yeah, and she was like, "Well, what if I didn't come home?" And he was like, "Well, I would have just waited here until you got back." That was really cute, though.
Yeah,
but
I thought that was sweet.
I get why she was feeling like she was, but we'll get to that. He had showed up at her house. I think did they end up going get something to eat, or I think did they lay together? I don't remember after that.
I don't either. He had been promising her food.
Yeah, and
I can't remember just the time that they went and got food or not.
I don't remember. Oh, you know what? So something that we also forgot. He had given her a card, or he had like left her a card, and in the card it said to look under the bed, but she didn't read the card.
Oh yeah.
I forgot
And then
about
he
that.
said, "Well, I guess you didn't read the card, did you?" Because he spent a little bit of time under that bed. He
Right,
hadn't
because
been under that bed since they had left school.
Right, because he gave it to her and said something about 8, and it was like 9 by the time she got home.
Mm-hmm.
So, Lord,
I think they went to get food.
I think they did, because I know she still took a shower because she was like all hot and sweaty from the day. Sure, we'll just say they got food because I don't remember.
Me neither.
So they oh wait, did they have sex?
I don't know because they had sex so many times that they didn't even really mention in detail. So I don't remember any time that they had sex.
I don't either.
But
Damn.
but they had sex a lot.
They did.
But they didn't mention it in the book.
They kind of did, but the way that it jumped. So something that was really cool about this story, till the end to mention it, but I guess I'll mention it now. When the author ends, like, say there's a section of the story that ends, she'll start the next section with the same words or word that the previous, like, paragraph may have ended with. Mm-hmm. So it kind of gives, like, dimensions where it's jumping from scene to scene, where you can see different characters kind of acting out different activities, I guess you could say. So it makes it like a very kind of colorful story because you can almost visualize everything that's happening with the different groups of people, because there is a lot of different groups of people and characters involved in the story. It's kind of cool to see it.
Right. So same word, different point of view.
Yeah. And different characters sometimes, most of the time.
Right.
Okay. So they ate. I know Jimin starts talking about wanting to do the dance thing with Vignette because he's like this really popular dance group, and they have a competition, and he goes tries out or whatever. He ends up becoming part of the whole little crew, but there's this one guy that don't really mess with him like that, and that's Yuri. Yuri and the girl got a past.
Yeah.
And their past pretty much is at a point in time they like hooked up. It was both of their first time. She kind of liked him. He was kind of not feeling her like that, or was just kind of, it was kind of whatever, and she kind of got over it, and they've been friends, but they like frenemies kind of, I guess.
Right. And Yuri was not Korean either. Everybody was Korean, but Yuri was from Trinidad. Was he?
I think was he Nigerian?
Nigerian, yeah.
Yeah, he had green eyes. I just remember green eyes and Nigerian.
It was like his dad was somebody was Korean.
Yeah, and same as Vignette. Vignette wasn't Korean either. I don't think. I think he was like Chinese and.
Oh, it was Vignette that was Korean and something else. Indian.
Oh, he was Korean and Indian. Okay, yeah.
And Yuri was from Nigeria. Because because her nana called him the chocolate boy.
Right. That's so funny. So yeah, so Yuri didn't like Jimin, and Jimin didn't quite understand why Yuri didn't like him, but he also started to not like Yuri because of that. But he was like really cool with Vignette.
But he didn't even like Yuri before he even knew Yuri. It was a reason when he first seen Yuri, he didn't like Yuri, and he didn't even know about their past. He didn't like him. It was something about
right.
him. It was
something about him. Yeah, because yeah, that's true. That's true. I don't know. Maybe they just picked up on each other's like energies. I don't know.
Yeah, but then I guess they figured out that Yuri had a past with the girl.
Which made it even worse because Jimmy was like, "Oh, great! Now I really don't like him."
And at that time, Jimmy was having feelings for this girl, but he couldn't understand his feelings.
The whole time that he was having these feelings, and he's like, "I just don't understand what they were." I'm like, "Yeah, oh my God.
Know what they were." You knew what they were. Feelings are, but I want to be around her all the time.
Right, I care about her well-being, and I want to make her happy, but I don't know what I feel. Like,
you knew what it was.
Right. Oh, it was frustrating. Okay.
So that's when Jimmy was starting to be, he went with the girl to the dance practice to see them dance. And then he figured out, oh, this might be something that I might be interested in. He thought Vignette was so cool. because he, you know, he how good of a dancer he was. Vignette was a year above them. Like Vignette was a senior. They were like, were they like juniors?
Juniors or something like that.
So, Jimin thought he was just so cool or whatever, and then, you know, he was like thinking that he might be interested in being in the crew. But then he noticed Yuri, and Yuri was in the crew, and he still didn't like that.
Right. So another kind of side story to this is so they have this dance competition, but they need to have a partner for the dance competition. So this is where another character is introduced. So the girl's name is Zia. She's going to be important later. I mean, I don't want to say important, but she comes up again later in the story. But there was supposed to be like a partner dance where everybody was like paired up with somebody to dance with, and so far Vignet's paired up with Zia. Okay.
And Zia was Indian too, remember?
Yeah, and one of the things that he told her, they made a deal that if she, I think, danced with him for the competition, they would let her have the room because she was like a dancer too, and that was like the agreement they made. And he said, "Just promise you won't fall in love with me." All right. She was like, "Fine, whatever. She'll help them out." Okay. Go ahead.
So after that, I guess they start going back. They still was doing tutoring sessions in the midst of it, but then they also was going to this dance practice, and that's when Jimin was showing his freestyle dance to them, and they loved his freestyle, and he was like automatically on the group, like quick. And
you know what freestyle I thought of? When they was talking about his freestyle,
I wanna hear what you're gonna say, because I feel like we're gonna say the same thing.
you remember the dance he did for the award show, and he had the tattoo on the
where he tore his shirt up? Yep, I thought about the same exact thing. That music, get out of your mind, so
everything.
That's funny. And we talking about the exact same thing. Yes, that's so funny. Was the freestyle?
Me too.
Tearing that shirt up. Yep. Having a Chinese lettering fake tattoo on him.
That's exactly what I thought of.
Yep.
So like Lisa was saying, they had him join the dance crew, and everybody was starting to like warm up to Jimin except Yuri. So Yuri is like, absolutely not. I don't like him.
Yuri being like the worst hater ever.
Yeah, and oh, by the way, he goes up to the girl and is like, you know, you don't need to be attached to him. She needed to leave Jimin alone because he was gonna hurt her. She pretty much was like, you need to mind your business. We're just friends. Blah 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 blah. And he pretty much had called it. Like, he knew exactly what was going on, and she was battling her feelings. So after Yuri and the girl are talking, Jimin pops up, was like, is there a problem? And Yuri kind of eyes him, and they kind of like got silent beef or whatever, and then that's kind of that.
And I'm like, look at Jimin getting all buff.
Right? He had one little good comments from the team, and he was all of a sudden like Billy Badass.
Right.
So anyway, they have some conversations after they leave. He's kind of I think they to the building, like the Big Hit building, and the girl was kind of worried about going because the last time she seen all of them, she was under the bed and she had no drawers on.
Right.
So I think they went back.
Yeah, and that was like in the studio.
Yeah, in the studio. And so he was telling her about like some songs and stuff that he wrote, and she was asking him to see some or hear some or whatever. And he's like reading one, and the song that he was reading off was a song that he had written for Nari. So the whole time she's in her head like, damn it, damn it, damn it, damn it, damn it, damn it, damn it.
I'm following even more. I'm following even more.
Yeah.
Story made me not like Nuri, but she was so sweet that I couldn't hate her.
She was so sweet. Everything she did was just the sweetest.
It really was like, the
oh
sweetest.
My gosh.
But I did not like that she was coming up in the mix.
Girl, I get it.
But you couldn't hate her because she was just so sweet.
I know.
Like you hated to love her.
Right. Because at the beginning of the story, when they were talking about her, I'm like, I don't know how I feel about her. That seems kind of bitchy of her to like do that.
Yeah, because when he said the reason why, they broke up and then they had sex, and then she was like, Are you sure? Are you sure that's the reason why she really broke up with you? Because you're not really that bad.
Right.
And he was like, I'm not that bad. Like, he really thought he was bad at sex.
Right.
And she was like, you're not bad at all. Are you sure? So in my head, I'm thinking, oh, this girl is a hoe.
Me.
So first thing I thought, I was like, oh, she a hoe. She done screwed around before. Because she kept asking, are you sure she was a virgin?
Right, that's exactly where I thought that was going. I'm like, nah, something not adding up.
Right, but Jimmy thought the world of her, and he just knew she was just super duper sweet and all this stuff. But now I could see, as the story go about, why Jimmy was like feeling that way.
Yeah, because she was.
Yeah, she really was.
Oh my gosh. So
he was writing the songs about Nari.
So they're having a conversation after she's listens to the story or whatever, and they're kind of talking, and they're pretty much starting to learn more and more about each other. He talks about her grandma, all that stuff, and then the girl is like, have you ever had a woman had a crush on you or something like that? And he's just kind of like, what? And they talk about that, and then she's like, well, what about if he's like, no, not that I know of. And he was like, what if somebody was about to fall for you? And he's like, fall in love? And she's like, yeah. And he's like, I'm not sure what I would do. I'd probably hide. And that was kind of like the end of that chapter.
You're so Jimmy to say something like that. For real.
Oh. So it kind of goes to another scene where the dance crew at this point are all hanging out, and Vignette ends up giving Jimin a jacket, telling him that it's like a welcome to the crew type of thing. And so they're all excited.
Yuri over here side-eyeing.
He was salty with a capital S.
It was so funny. That's how you read it. Like, you could just see you on
he just
corner, mad.
So mad. So this whole time he's like, they really got like, I don't want to say silent beef because it's pretty known and it's pretty vocal that they like dislike each other. But the side eyes and the eye rolls and the this and the that, they really got like serious beef.
Right, because at this time Jimmy was like getting cool with the whole crew.
Right. Everybody Yuri
liked him, and Yuri's the only one that didn't like him. But at that time, Jimmy wasn't really even mad at Yuri like that. Mm-hmm. Like, he knew he didn't like him, but he didn't like him bad enough to be dissing him like Yuri be trying to diss him.
Right.
And so that's when Jimmy started saying, what is your problem? And then Yuri was like, you my problem. Like, Yuri's pretty vocal to him. But Jimmy still acted like he didn't understand.
Right. I don't understand that at all, but
and he was like, Yuri's basically telling him, you the one got this girl following you, knowing that you don't really love her like that, or you don't like her like that, or basically he was like, what you talking about? Jim was like, what are you talking about?
Right.
And I'm like, Jimmy, you know.
My goodness.
Yeah.
So there's a point where the girl's back at her apartment, and JK and Taeyoung come to her house and deliver a gift. For some reason, Jimin was always sending JK and Taeyoung out to do his bidding, whether he was with them or not. And so remember back when old girl was at Jimin's dorm and she had left her drawers were gone. Well, JK and Taeyoung were the ones to deliver this box that had her drawers inside.
With a flower.
With a flower. That's so random.
It is so crazy.
So not only was it her underwear and a flower, but he also got her concert tickets to see one of their shows.
Mm-hmm.
So she was really excited about that. And the guys stood there. Pretty much, they stood there and watched her like open up everything. She asked them if they want to come inside. I don't know if they did end up coming inside or not, but they watched her like take everything out of the box, and then they were grossed out because one of the contents was her drawers.
Right.
All right, so they have another tutoring session. She pretty much thanks him for the concert tickets. I don't remember. Do you remember the picture that that she put of kind of saying what she thought Yuri looked like?
Yeah, he was sexy.
He was cute, right?
He was sexy.
He was real cute.
He was chocolatey.
Mm-hmm. He was cute. He was cute.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Jimin had made a promise to the girl to go with the girl to her nana's house and take her to her appointment.
Mm-hmm.
So on the night that she goes to her grandma's house, I'm skipping quite a bit ahead, but like you said, there was kind of just a lot of
randomness,
backstory. Yeah. So she goes to her nana's house, which somebody had to drop her off. Anyway, she goes to her nana's house because I don't know how she got there. I really don't. But she gets there, and she is waiting on Jimin.
And Jimin tells her specifically, "Do not count on anybody else. I am going to take you.
I will take you.
Don't ask anybody else to do this. I'm going to do this for you. Count on me.
Count on me." 30 minutes go by, no Jimin.
Mm-hmm.
An hour go by, no Jimin. I think it was like 3 or 4 hours go by, no Jimin.
It was like 3 a.m. They had fell asleep and everything before she realized that she woke up and was like, it's 3 a.m. He's not coming.
He's not coming.
Yeah.
So now she's like super pissed. The girl's pissed. Her feelings are like super involved at this point. And Jimin was off somewhere messing with Nari in a car somewhere.
Yeah. Because we didn't mention that Nari popped up.
Yeah.
At the
dance rehearsal, yeah.
And she was coming, but she was late. And so he used Nari to dance with. And they got close and they were kissing. And then she was like there looking at them.
Yep.
And then she hid, so they wouldn't see her. But then text Jim and it was like something came up, can't make it or whatever.
Yep.
And so she left, but then fast forward to this time, they hadn't even talked for a long time.
Yep.
And Nari just popped back up. She always pop up in the wrong spots. That's why I kind of didn't like her.
Yeah, same here.
She pops up at the wrong times.
She didn't know.
She didn't know. She didn't know. Yeah. But still. And I was mad at Jimmy for this, for real. Because I'm like, Jimmy, for real. Like I don't care how much you love this Nari girl. You knew that grandma had cancer. You knew that you was taking her to this treatment. And you just forget that much.
Yep.
Come on now.
Yeah.
So he was up in the car with Nuri having sex in a steamy car like the Titanic.
Just like the Titanic.
That's what I think about that hand.
That hand on that window. Exactly. Oh man. Yes.
And so this time she is pissed off about this because I would have been pissed off at her too.
Heck yeah.
That was just too much. Especially when he had already told her, do not count on anybody else. I'm going to be there.
And he kept, so the thing that was so hard about it is because she kept telling herself, like, don't fall for him, don't fall for him, don't fall for him. But then he would do stuff where he would be like looking at her, and he would like try to make up for things and say he was sorry and do all this cute stuff that made her like fall for him even more. But this was like the last straw.
And and what made it even worse is that she had already told her grandma about him.
Yes.
And her Nana was like, "Oh, you like this boy,
right?"
And her Nana was sassy but smart.
Right.
Her Nana was like, "Oh yeah, you slept with him.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, and he liked you, but like she was saying, Vignette liked you. You slept with Yuri before, but you really love Jimmy."
Right. And the whole time, here girl go, no, we're just friends. Mm-hmm. Oh, it's not like that. Blah, blah, blah. Everybody knows the truth except for this girl. Well, she knew the truth too, but she was just hiding it.
Her and Jimmy, basically.
Her and Jimmy, yeah.
But she had talked to her grandma so much about Jimmy that her grandma knew all this stuff about Jimmy.
Mm-hmm. So I never met the boy.
Right. So it just looked like she was looking forward to meeting him.
Mm-hmm. So she is ignoring all his calls. She's like, you know what? Forget him. He broke a promise. This is crazy. I can't, I don't want to talk to him no more. She was going to go to the dance. Oh, something we forgot about too.
They were supposed to dance together.
Well, not just that, but remember they actually had a dance coming up where her and Vignette had always planned to go to dances together because that was like their thing. Well, Jimmy had asked the girl to go to the dance together. So she told Vignette she wasn't going to go with him and was going to go with Jimmy. And then everybody else had dates or whatever. Well, then that stuff with the grandma happened. And like she was just like, forget it. And her friends got her to go up, get dressed or whatever to go out. Well,
because they was like, you going to this dance.
And they decided to set her up with Yuri to go out. So they had clothes for him to try on and dresses for her to try on. And then her and Yuri ended up getting stuck together because old girl started grinding up on Yuri when they was getting dressed.
What they doing? She twerking on him in the middle. Like, the only thing I could, like, I was imagining them in front of the mirror, right? And, like, dancing. She twerking on him. She's twerking on him. They get hot and heated, grinding, some Jamaican grinding. That's what I was thinking in my head.
Girl, same. And I'm like right in front of the mirror in this black dress, and he got his little suit on or whatever. They get caught.
They was getting hot and heated a little bit,
A little bit, yeah. And they got stuck together. And as they're stuck together, it's really compromising situation. And nobody believes in locks, clearly, because they come busting in the door to see them stuck together, her butt stuck to his crotch. So they end up getting, and Jimin is there too. So they end up getting unstuck or whatever, and they all go to the dance. So pretty much they're all kind of avoiding each other, and finally somebody talks sense to her, and she's like, you know what, now's the time. Let me go tell Jimin how I feel. So she gets ready to go up, or she's getting ready to talk to Jimin about it. And as her and Jim are about to talk, Vignette comes and is like, hey, I need you to help me with something real quick. So they go off, and she's like, I'll just hang back for a second. Meanwhile, Nari is somewhere around looking for Jimin and ends up coming to the dance, right?
Because Jimmy was all like feeling down and all that stuff, and then all the boys was thinking about, oh, it's Nari. It's Nari. Right. Why she feeling? Oh, I got an idea. This will tell you what I'm saying. Oh, I got an idea. Let's get Nari to go to the dance.
Right. So now we got Nari on her way to the dance. Jimin and Vignette are together fixing something. Yuri is doing his thing. Zia is I think she ended up going with Vignette. And G is there too. All right. So the girl goes up into the room to talk to who she thinks is Jimin. Wait, no. Okay. Yeah. She kept
saying, I can't, like, she was waiting for Jim to come back. It took forever for him to come back. And she was like, I can't hold it any longer. I need to go tell him how I feel.
Right. So she goes upstairs to the place that he's at. So it's dark where she's at. So she starts spilling her feelings and is this and this and that. And I love you pretty much point blank. And the guy tells her back,
Vignette.
I love you too. Yeah.
Yes.
And come to find out it's Vignette. So
but
Vignette
when he say I love you too, did she say I love you so much, Jimmy?
Yeah. And then it hits her that they hug and everything, and she's like, wait a minute.
Yeah, she's like, this is not
Jimin. So then she realizes that that's not Jimin.
And I'm like, how dark is it?
I know. Because I feel like they look pretty different.
The picture that Vignette looks like he was way different from Jimmy.
Right, structure and everything.
Yes.
So that happens between them two, and then he hears that she loves him. So Jimin hears that. Then Zia, the girl who has now fallen for Vignette, hears that he loves the girl.
Mm-hmm.
Then
yeah,
this was like a love octagon. It was
for real.
It was so crazy. So Zia loves Vignette. Vignette loves the girl. The girl loves Jimin. G also loves Jimin.
And Yuri loves the girl.
Oh yeah, and Yuri loves the girl, and Jimin loves Nari. Mm-hmm. Okay, so that happens. Everybody kind of breaks apart, and one of the girls is crying, and Yuri comes up and is like, oh, I can't. He was really sweet in this scene, and I kind of I was like, oh, Yuri. He was like, oh, I don't like to see girls cry, and he's like, I would never do that. You got to stop crying, because if you cry, then I would feel bad, and if it's me that's making you cry, I wouldn't be able to take it, or something like that. I was like, oh, that's so sweet. So Jimin chases after the girl, and the girl's like, you know what, just go to Nari, whatever. In the meantime, Nari is hidden behind a little thing, and he's kind of Jimin's still trying to talk to the girl, and the girl's like, you can come out, Nari, it's fine, whatever. Right. And they pass by each other, and she goes off. So then Nari and Jimin have their little thing. Girl's gone. Vignet's dealing with his whole thing. Zia's upset. Yuri's kind of just whatever, helping the crying girl, and nobody's talking to each other at this point.
Nope. And it's 2 whole days before any of them appear in school.
Yeah, they were going.
They were going through. They was going through ruin, girls.
My gosh, I was like, what kind of wow? Everybody was hurt. Yeah. Everybody was real hurt. So I don't even know where to start from this point.
So everybody went through it. Then J and G end up going to her the girl house. The girl been in the house crying and moping around, stinking and stuff for a couple of days. And they like, girl, you got to get up. You got to do something with yourself, blah, 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 blah. Meanwhile, Jimin been at his house with Nari. Mm-hmm. And him and Nari been together for a couple of days, having sex and everything.
And he been venting to her about the girl.
The whole time. So Nari trying to sit here telling him, you need to go tell this girl how you feel. Mm-hmm. Because you just need to at some point. In the meantime, she asked Jimin for her address. Mm-hmm. So he gives her the address. She ends up over the girl house where she funky and stinking, still sitting on the couch. Mm-hmm. Does it sound like the other story we was reading when the girl was funky and stinking, sitting on the couch for a couple of days too, moping around?
Yep.
So the girl goes over there and she starts telling her about her backstory.
Yeah. And so they end up Nari ends up getting the girl to not only shower, but also leave the house to eat with her. Mm-hmm. All right. Go ahead and tell the backstory, girl.
So the backstory is that Jimin and this girl was together, and because they both was coming up in the industry, they were like out and about, which is not known in Korea, by the way. They was out and people knew about them, but people hated them together. So she broke up with Jimin because um, of the hate he was getting.
So and she wanted him to focus and stuff.
Right. So she made up that story about him not being good at sex and breaking up with him, thinking that would make him hate her that bad to leave her alone. But Jimmy was still in love with the girl.
So come to find out, she was just being really selfless, and the girl was like, why didn't you ever tell him the truth? And she's like, I will eventually. And she pretty much tells the girl, like, well, you need to tell him too. And she's like, I'll tell him after you tell him. Pretty much. Because she's like, he's gonna love you even more after you tell him this. So they have that conversation. She ends up going back to school. Nari's that bitch, man. She got this girl to shower, eat, and go back to school in a matter of one conversation.
Right. Yeah, because you can't be mad at her.
You can't at all. You're like, you know what? You get it.
Right.
So old girl goes back to school. Her homegirls are like, hey girl, what happened? Like, what's going on? She's like, just we had a conversation and like I get it.
And they like, how this hoe got you to get up and shower? And we your best friends. We can't get you to do nothing.
Get you to do anything. That is the truth. So by this point, I think everybody's back in school. People are still kind of sort of avoiding each other. And there's this conversation. I really want y'all to read it. Like, there's this conversation where they talk about soulmates. And I read this part like 4 times because it really had me thinking about stuff. Do you know what part I'm talking about? So there's this part where she's talking about, I think she's talking to like Yuri or somebody, or maybe Jimin, about soulmates anyway, she's talking to Yuri about soulmates, and she's like, do you believe in soulmates? And they have this whole conversation, and they were pretty much talking about like he didn't believe it in the traditional sense type of thing, but he thought about it in a way that there's like numerous people that you can fall for. It's just about timing.
Yeah.
That part I really liked that. It made me think about a lot.
That was the same time when Jimmy came back to school and he was asking, do you think he could be in love with 2 people at the same time?
Yeah, to Vignay. And Vignay was like, actually, yeah, because I feel that way about Zia and the girl.
Because he said he loved the girl, but he said it was just something about Zia.
Right, that he couldn't break away from. And Jimin felt like that too. But he kept saying like, oh, it wasn't like that. It wasn't like that. Even though he went through all this craziness because of that.
And everybody knew but him.
Everybody knew it. So flash forward, she goes to see the grandma. Her and Yuri go see the grandma, and the grandma sends the girl and Yuri off to go hang out on the beach. Jimin, JK, and Taeyang show up at the house with a bunch of flowers for the grandma. So now they're at the house. They introduce themselves. She's like, oh, you're Jimin, blah, blah, blah. He was expecting it to be like a bad situation. The grandma was real sweet. And it was real cool. And like they hung out and talked to her for a bit. And she's like, yeah, I had to send them 2 off. So she sends
and the whole time Jimin is like
fuming.
Yeah, low-key hating. Because he hate when Yuri and the girl is together.
Exactly. And he already know what it is. Because he's like, if they're together, like it's only a matter of time. They have this history, whatever. So they hang out there for a bit. Yuri and the girl end up having
at the beach.
Yeah, they're at the beach. They're having some good times together. They have some moments, and they end up going back to somebody's place and getting it in.
Somebody's, because they was already on the beach and kind of was like on top of each other, and playing around, and they end up, I think, back at Yuri's place. And Yuri basically was like, he had to just tell her, like, he was tired of holding on to this. He was like, Jimin, how did he say it? Jimmy was with that girl when he was supposed to be taking your grandma, and he knew. Wait, what was it? He knew that you loved him because I told him.
Yeah. And she was like, "What do you mean you told him?" And he was like, "Well, we got into it. Remember when I told you we got into it?" And she's like, "Yeah." And he's like, "Well, I also said this." And she was like, "What?"
Yeah, but he still ended up in the car with his ex-girlfriend. That's what he said.
Yeah. So they at a point they have a conversation about if he's ever been in love. This is kind of with the soulmates conversation, and he's like, yeah. And he said, she asked who it was, and he said he's not going to tell her, or he lied about it or whatever. And she was like, did they love you back? And he said no, and all this other stuff. So the girl's thinking about it, but she's not really, like, once he said a name, she just kind of like let it pass or whatever.
Yeah, because he just said
some random name. So then they kind of go through that whole thing, and they end up having a moment together, and they end up having sex. Well,
it was a girl. It was hot and heated because he was like mad at her. She was mad at him, and he was
that's right.
Like they were cussing each other out.
Yeah,
he was like, "You love him. You admit it. He no good for you. Why can't you see that I love you?" Because he had been telling her he loved her. Yep. I love you. I want to be here for you. You acting stupid. She was like, F you. He was like, F you too. All kind of stuff. Like they was heated, girl. They ended up on that
right.
bed. That was the only good smut that I like. Yes, I said smut, guys.
We should have a bell that's like ding, 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 ding.
I told you say earlier that I was not feeling the story as much because I missed the smut. And there was not that much smut in here. The only little bit they had in it, they kind of cut it out.
Yeah, but it was I felt like the story was so good. It was all right.
I can't believe that you was not missing it as much as I was. So
because it was so much.
So at this particular time between Yuri and the girl, I was happy about the smut scene.
Yeah. So they got it in.
And
they spent the time together, whatever. Well, I think they might have been back at his place. I mean, at her place, because when he leave, he's outside the door, and Jimin's coming up to the apartment, and he sees her. Jimin sees Yuri kiss the girl, and he like kind of hides, and Yuri walks away, and Jimin tackles him outside. You remember they got into the fight, and Yuri and when everybody in the apartment complex was staring at them, and the girl comes outside in her pajamas. She's like, "What happened?" And Yuri gonna say, "Oh, I attacked him," knowing that Jimin had attacked him.
Why he lie?
Because he knew he had just told that girl he loved him, and she didn't love him back, so he wanted to look like a jerk. So, so that happened. So then she's looking at Jimin like differently, because she's like, dang, he got attacked, whatever. She's like, man, fuck Yuri. He always does this dumb shit. Here he go again. And then later on, flash forward, when everybody's kind of back on speaking terms, Jimin ends up telling her that Yuri wasn't the one that started the fight, that he actually started the fight because he was coming to to see her.
Right, and I know that Yuri and Jimmy still did not like each other. Yuri still was talking to Jimmy, and he wanted Jimmy to tell the girl.
Yeah. They had like an understanding near the end where they were kind of like, all right, I don't hate you, but I still don't like bang with you like that.
Yeah, he was calling her fluffy, but...
Yeah, but so there's a point where the girl and Jimin are having a conversation, because she's like, look, what is it? Like, I just got to get some answers, because she was kind of confused between Vinye, Yuri, and Jimin, and she's like, I got to take care of this Jimin shit first, at the very least, before I can even tackle Vinye and Yuri. So she'd have a conversation with with Jimin, and Jimin's like, I don't love you, or I'm not in love with you, and I don't love you, knowing he was lying.
Honey.
So she was like, all right, bet. And that was that.
I know. It wasn't no more into that. Like, I thought it would have been a longer conversation.
Right. So she pretty much, this is pretty much like kind of how it starts to end. Everybody like moves forward in their lives. Vinye realizes that he really does care about Zia. So him and Zia start their thing. Jimin and Nari are continuing their thing. So how we find out about all of this is because the girl is writing a letter to her nana, because her nana's on vacation with her parents. she's writing this letter and she's telling them about everybody doing their own thing.
Oh,
and
you know we forgot to mention that
what?
when Yuri and old girl was getting it on, Jimmy kept blowing up her phone.
Oh yeah, we completely forgot about that.
Yes,
Yeah,
Jimmy was blowing up her phone the whole time. And he kept leaving messages like, I don't want to tell you like this. Pick up the phone. I know you mad at me. Pick up the phone. Why are you not picking up the phone? Like he blew her up. But she never picked up the phone because she was getting on with Yuri.
Yep.
And come to find out, her grandma was in the hospital and Jimmy had took her because they were going to the mall.
Yep, that's right. That's right. I forgot about that. That happened the same night that all that was yeah, I don't know how he skipped over that, but yeah. So she finally gets to the hospital and Jimin waited because he wanted to make sure that she saw him there and wanted to be able to comfort her. And when she got to the hospital, she ran right past him and he felt some type of way about Yuri being there. And he noticed they were in like the same similar clothes.
Yeah, and she had on his sweatpants and he had on the top to match.
Yep. And she ended up running into Yuri's arm and Jimin bounced. And he was crushed. I forgot about that part. Yeah. Yep. Good catch, girl. That was a good one. So the girl's writing a story to her Nana. She's telling her about how everybody's doing and all that. And she pretty much tells her that Vinya and Zia are together. Jim is doing his thing. A couple other people are together. And then that her and Yuri are together as well. So there's a scene where at the end where she's still tutoring Jimin, I believe, and her and Yuri are doing something. I think they're at school and Yuri's like waiting on her to do something. He's like, all right, I'm gonna wait outside. So she's like talking to Jimin and Jimin's like asking her something and she's like, you can just hear my boyfriend, I gotta go. So she bounces. So Jimin is sitting there looking pitiful. The very last chapter of the story, Jimin writes a letter to his past self. And it doesn't tell a disclosed time, but it pretty much, to sum it up, is he was stupid. He really was in love with the girl, and he can't say anything at this point because she's happy. She has a boyfriend that loves her, and he was dumb because he was confused the whole time. But him and Nari are just best friends now. They've cut out all romantic relationships. They're just good friends, and how he really missed out and that the girl was the one that got away.
Yep.
What a story.
Yep. Yep.
That ended. Oh, I love that story so much because it wasn't the ending that is always of the stories. I loved it. I liked how it was written. I liked how it played off of like the last part of one chapter was the beginning of another chapter or a paragraph. I loved how it played off of that. I liked it. I know it didn't have a lot of smut, but it gave me so much that I just liked it.
Well, you know how I feel about it. I liked the story, but I did miss my smut.
I know, girl.
I miss my smut so bad. I really did. I look forward to it. Every time I thought it was going to happen, it did not happen.
Yeah.
But it was a cute story. I wanted it to be a happy ending because I love K-drama so much. And we usually have a happy ending. But it didn't happen, and I wasn't mad though, because it is different than what we already been reading.
I mean, it kind of was a happy ending though when you think about it, because the girl was happy, and she was happy with somebody that she really did end up caring for.
I wanted them together. I don't care. I wanted Jimmy with the girl. I'm sorry, I just did.
And I actually, oh, go ahead.
I just thought it was going to change. I thought it was going to change. Like, I wanted him to see that this girl was going to be just as busy as he was, and it was not going to work out.
Yeah. And, you know, so this is what I was talking to Lisa about earlier today. I was like, you know, sometimes the authors will tell us it's not going to be that type of story, and then it ends up being that type of story.
That's what I was hoping for.
But this was exactly how the author said it, and I appreciate the mess of that. Like, I love this story because it was real. Like, this is exactly how stuff happens in real life. Not maybe as complicated, but like, man, you fall in love with people all the time and then they don't love you back. They don't even know you exist. My love for Namjoon, he don't even know I exist. Like,
But you know what? I can see and understand what she was going through.
Yeah.
Because I seen my past self in her as a teenager.
Yes.
Because she was like trying not to be in love with him.
Yeah.
But they was having such great sex.
Yeah.
But she was falling for him before she knew it. She really did love him. I seen that girl.
Man, when I tell you, that's why maybe I like the story so much, because I was like, girl, you done grown up.
Girl, you done came a long way.
Right.
Remember that happening.
Yeah. I related so much to this story and just how it turned out. I was like, man, I really liked it.
Yeah.
It was so good.
The fact, and I also like the fact that she was like, I can't be mad. I knew what I was getting myself into. I did it to myself.
Yeah.
Like she wasn't blaming anybody for what she did,
Yeah, yeah. It was good. It was so good. I liked it. Thank you for this recommendation because I enjoyed this story.
Keep them coming, y'all. We have so many recommendations coming up, and we are so happy and proud of those recommendations. You guys have no idea.
Thank you guys.
Love that you guys communicate with us and tell us what you like and what you recommend, because we love that.
Yes, and we are so excited because there's so many good stories out there, and we love talking about it. We like reading them. We get so invested, and like this story in particular really took us back to look at our younger selves. So it was really nice.
But send me some smut, y'all.
Lisa, look, I can't even say Lisa. I love my smut too, but this story had me, girl.
I know, but y'all send me some smut. I love smut. I really want it.
But yeah, you guys keep sending us those stories you want us to read. Interact with us on Twitter, our Instagram. You can email us at doyoureadbts@yahoo.com. We will be there all the time, anytime. Thank you again for joining us.
Thank you.
See you guys next time.
Bye.
Bye.